Wow, this TATANKA website you sent. It's quite a rabbit hole. Fictional corporation, sure. But the questions it raises about art and technology and social change, those feel pretty real.
Absolutely. And what really strikes me is how TATANKA kind of flips the script on the usual tech narrative. Instead of replacing artists, especially those from marginalized communities, they're using tech to empower them. Music meets mission, as they put it.
Okay, so I'll admit, when I first saw AI-generated industrial music album from 1989, I was like, wait, what? That even possible back then?
Well, remember, this is a fictional world we're talking about, but it's a clever thought experiment, you know? Imagine early neural networks, maybe even building on that nascent sampling tech, all kind of churning away in the background of Chicago's industrial scene. Then suddenly, AI-generated music doesn't seem so far-fetched.
Okay, yeah. I'm starting to see how this all connects. So before we get lost in the music, let's zoom out for a sec. Who is TATANKA? And what's their mission?
Think of them as a tech incubator with a social conscience.
Okay.
Their humanist blueprint emphasizes amplifying diverse voices, not erasing them. Right.
They even have ties to Burning Man, which makes sense given their focus on community and self-expression.
And they're particularly focused on indigenous voices, right? I think there was something about a wisdom circle on their website.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
They're drawing on indigenous wisdom from around the globe to guide their actions. It's like they're trying to build a bridge between those ancient traditions and cutting-edge technology.
This is already more complex than I expected. Okay, so we've got TATANKA, this forward-thinking corporation, using AI to create music. And then there's this album, Bone Wires. Paint a picture for me. What am I listening to here?
Close your eyes and picture a smoky Chicago club called Medusa's.
Okay.
1989. The air is just thrumming with the energy of that underground industrial scene, pounding drums, distorted frequencies, a relentless 115 BPM pulse, all in a minor key to match the mood.
Intense. But wouldn't AI-generated music from back then sound kind of robotic? It's easy to think that. But think about the gritty mechanical sounds of industrial music itself. It's almost like the perfect genre for early AI to experiment with. A sonic landscape built on repetition and distortion, and a raw, almost primal energy.
Okay, and this album, Bone Wires, it's more than just music, right? There's a whole story woven into it.
Exactly. And that's where 𝗓𝗓 comes in.
Okay.
She's this young Latina woman living in this industrial world, and the music becomes her way of processing it, all of expressing her own experience.
That's where it gets really interesting, right? The connection between the music and her life in Chicago.
Exactly. The website describes her fascination with the sounds of her environment, the clanging machinery, the rumble of trains. It's almost like she's absorbing these industrial rhythms and transforming them into something new, something powerful.
Okay, I'm officially intrigued. The website mentions 20 song titles, each with its own set of lyrics. Where do we even begin to unpack all of this?
Let's start with the title track, Bone Wires. It kind of sets the stage with this dark mechanical pulse. And the lyrics talk about cables carving through flesh and bone, voices trapped in a fractured dream. It's a powerful image of technology intertwined with humanity.
It's giving me some serious cyberpunk vibes. Is this whole album like this?
Oh, it definitely goes deep. Take the second track, Iron Hands on Flesh. It's even more aggressive, with lyrics about cold, iron-crushing, fragile skin. It's a visceral representation of feeling controlled by forces beyond our control. Perhaps a commentary on the dehumanizing aspects of technology.
And the third track, Falling Through the Abyss. Just the title sounds like a descent into some dark place.
You're right on the mark. It's described as very atmospheric with fluctuating, distorted frequencies, and the lyrics speak of losing sight, falling deeper into the darkness, fractured mind, betrayed. It's almost like a sonic representation of mental breakdown in the face of overwhelming technological advancement.
Okay, this is heavy stuff. And we're only 3 songs in. It feels like each crack is a chapter in a dystopia novel. Is that intentional?
Absolutely. The album is structured as one continuous mix, so it's meant to be experienced as a whole, like a journey through this dark and complex world. It's like the creators wanted to immerse you in the story, not just tell it to you.
I'm already feeling a little overwhelmed, but also completely hooked. What happens next?
Well, the fourth track, Echoes in the Ruins, shifts the focus to a world in decay. Crumbled walls, shattered glass, haunting melodies that fade into fragments. It's almost post-apocalyptic, like we're witnessing the aftermath of some technological collapse.
It makes you wonder if this fictional world is a cautionary tale about where our own obsession with technology might lead. Are we headed for a similar fate?
It's definitely a question worth pondering. And the album doesn't shy away from those anxieties. In fact, Fractured Circuits, the fifth track, is all about the breakdown of technology itself. Broken melodies, dissonant textures, a pulse that stutters and dies.
Wow. Okay, so not only is the world in ruins, But the technology that supposedly brought us there is falling apart too. What happens to the people in this world?
That's what Hollow Eye's Silent Hearts explores. It's a somber track with lyrics about a beating heart made of steel, silent whispers, no soul to feel. It's a chilling depiction of humanity losing its essence in the face of technological dominance.
It's like a warning about the dangers of becoming too reliant on technology, of letting it replace our human connections and emotions.
And then Whispers from the Void adds another layer of unease. Imagine whispers growing louder, a presence that threatens to consume. Is it the AI itself becoming sentient, or something else entirely?
Chills. This is getting seriously creepy. It's incredible how the music and lyrics work together to create this immersive, almost terrifying experience. But I have to ask, is all this darkness just for shock value, or is there something more going on here?
That's a great question, and I think it gets to the heart of what makes Bone Wires so fascinating. It's not just about dystopian aesthetics, it's using this dark, unsettling soundscape to explore deeper themes of identity control and the human struggle for meaning in a world increasingly dominated by technology.
So it's not just a nihilistic descent into despair. There's a point to all this darkness.
Exactly, and I think that point becomes clearer as we delve into Erin's personal story. She's not just a passive observer in this dystopian world. She's an active participant using her music to push back against the forces that seek to control her.
So in a way, she's like a beacon of hope amidst all this darkness.
I think that's a good way to put it. She represents the resilience of the human spirit, the power of art to challenge the status quo and inspire change.
Okay, I'm definitely ready to hear more about Erin and how she navigates this world. But before we move on, I need a moment to process all of this. It's a lot to take in.
I understand. It's a lot to unpack, and we've only just scratched the surface. Take a moment, let those sonic landscapes settle in, and then we'll dive into the next layer of this fascinating story. Ready to dive back in?
Absolutely. You've painted quite the picture of this dystopian world, and I'm really eager to hear how Erin 𝗧𝗧𝗧𝗧 fits into all of this. She discovers industrial music, a genre often associated with anger and rebellion. How does that connect with her experiences as a young Latina woman in Chicago?
That's where it gets fascinating. Imagine Erin surrounded by the industrial landscape of Chicago, hearing these raw, powerful sounds for the first time. This music, often seen as aggressive, becomes her outlet, her way of expressing the struggles she faces in a society that often marginalizes voices like hers.
So it's not just about the music itself, but about finding a voice within a genre that isn't traditionally associated with marginalized communities.
Exactly. She's drawn to the rawness, the intensity, the way it reflects the harsh realities of her surroundings. But she's not just mimicking what she hears. She's filtering it through her own unique lens, her identity, her experiences as a Latina woman navigating a complex social landscape.
The website mentioned her early music drew inspiration from the sounds of the city itself. The hiss of steam, the clanging of machinery. It's like she's taking the noise of her environment and turning it into art.
Precisely. And this is where TATANKA enters the picture. They see her potential, not just as a talented musician, but as someone who can challenge conventions and use her art to make a statement.
So TATANKA isn't just a record label. They're more like a platform for social change.
That's a great way to put it. Remember, their music meets mission philosophy. They're actively seeking out artists who align with their values, those who want to use their voices to make a difference. And Erin, with her unique blend of industrial sounds and powerful lyrics, fits perfectly into that vision.
They provide her with resources, mentorship, a way to amplify her voice. Do they push her to create music that fits their agenda?
That's what's refreshing about their approach. Instead of molding her into something she's not, they encourage her to embrace her authenticity. They provide her with state-of-the-art equipment, connect her with other artists, but ultimately they trust her vision.
And what's the result of this collaboration?
Her debut album, Resonance Reclaimed, becomes a huge success. The title itself speaks volumes. It's about reclaiming her power, her identity, her voice. The music blends industrial sounds with traditional Latin rhythms and instruments, creating a unique sound that resonates with a diverse audience.
It's a powerful statement, reclaiming her voice. Especially in a world like the one depicted in Bone Wires. Was there a particular song that stood out on this album?
The website highlights a track called Pulse of the Forgotten. It's described as a collaboration between Erin and TATANKA, an anthem for those who feel unseen, unheard. Imagine a driving industrial beat layered with Erin's powerful vocals, lyrics that speak to the struggles of marginalized communities.
So even though it's rooted in the darkness and dystopia of Bone Wires, Resonance Reclaimed offers a message of hope, of empowerment.
Exactly. Aaron's journey is a testament to the power of art to transcend boundaries, to challenge the status quo and to inspire change. And TATANKA, with their unconventional approach to technology and music, provides the platform for her message to reach the world.
This is such a multi-layered story. We've got this dystopian world, AI-generated music, a young artist finding her voice, and a corporation that's using technology for social good. It's almost too much to wrap my head around.
It's definitely complex, but that's what makes it so compelling. And remember, it's all fictional. But like any good science fiction, it holds up a mirror to our own society, prompting us to ask questions about the role of technology, the importance of diversity and inclusion, and the power of art to spark change.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture, but I still have so many questions. Did Erin face any pushback for her music? Especially given its industrial roots, was everyone on board with TATANKA's mission?
Those are great questions. And unfortunately, the website doesn't provide all the answers. But that's part of the beauty of this deep dive, isn't it? We're left with these open-ended questions, these spaces to fill in with our own interpretations and imagination.
I guess that's what makes it so thought-provoking. It's not just a passive experience. We're actively engaging with the material, filling in the gaps, drawing our own conclusions.
Precisely. And in a world saturated with information, that kind of active engagement is more important than ever. It's not enough to just consume content. We need to critically analyze it, connect it to our own experiences, and use it to shape our understanding of the world.
It's like we're training our minds to be more discerning, more critical, more engaged. But I have to admit, it can be a bit overwhelming at times. Where do we even begin to sift through all the noise and find the signal?
That's where the deep dive format comes in. By focusing on specific sources, like this TATANKA website, we can break down complex topics into manageable chunks, and then use those insights as springboards for further exploration.
So like a guided tour through a dense jungle of information.
Exactly. We're providing you with a map, a compass, and some essential gear. But ultimately, it's up to you to choose your own path and discover what resonates most with you.
So where do we go from here? What other aspects of this story are worth exploring?
Well, I think it would be fascinating to delve deeper into the societal impact of Aaron's music. Did it spark any real-world change? Did it challenge the status quo? Did it create space for other marginalized voices to be heard?
Those are great questions. And I'm also curious about the long-term implications of TATANKA's approach. Did they succeed in their mission to empower artists, or did they ultimately become another cog in the machine of the very system they were trying to disrupt?
Those are all avenues worth exploring. And I think the website itself offers some clues. There are hints about protests, about social movements, about a growing awareness of the issues Aaron's music addresses. But it's up to us to connect the dots and draw our own conclusions.
I'm starting to realize that this deep dive is more than just a journey into a fictional world. It's a reflection on our own relationship with technology, with art, with social change. It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there's always potential for hope, for resistance, for transformation.
Beautifully said. And that's the power of stories like this. They invite us to step outside our comfort zones, to question our assumptions, and to imagine new possibilities for the future.
I'm feeling inspired to dig deeper, to explore those possibilities and to see where this rabbit hole leads.
That's the spirit. And remember, the deep dive never truly ends. It's an ongoing process of exploration, discovery, and growth. So keep asking questions, keep challenging the status quo, and keep seeking out those hidden connections that make the world a richer, more meaningful place.
Well, on that note, let's continue this journey. What other surprises await us in this fascinating world of TATANKA and Aaron 𝗧𝗧𝗧? It's amazing how this deep dive started with just a website about a fictional corporation and an AI-generated album. And now we're talking about social change, the power of art, and the potential for hope, even in a dystopian world.
It really is. It's a testament to how even the most fantastical stories can spark real-world reflection. This TATANKA website, with its intricate details and thought-provoking themes, it's like a springboard for these deeper conversations about the choices we're making right now.
I'm thinking about TATANKA's mission, Music Meets Mission, and how they use technology to amplify marginalized voices. Do you think that's something we're seeing more of in our own world?
It's definitely a trend worth noting. We're seeing more and more artists, especially those from marginalized communities, leveraging technology to create and connect and build their own platforms. It's like they're bypassing those traditional gatekeepers and taking control of their own narratives.
That's encouraging.
Yeah.
But I also wonder if there's a risk of replicating the same power structures we're trying to dismantle. Could TATANKA, despite their good intentions, ultimately become another gatekeeper, another force that dictates what gets heard and what gets silenced?
That's a critical question. And I think it highlights the need for constant vigilance. We can't just assume that technology will automatically lead to a more equitable world. We need to be mindful of who's controlling the technology, who benefits from it, and who might be left behind.
So it's not just about the technology itself, but about how we use it, how we shape it, and how we ensure that it serves humanity, not the other way around.
Exactly. And that brings us back to 𝗓𝗓𝗧𝗧. She didn't just accept the dystopian world she was given. She used her art, her voice, her collaboration with TATANKA to challenge the status quo and push for something better.
It's like she embodies the idea that we're not just passive consumers of technology. We have agency. We have the power to shape it, to mold it to our own visions, and to use it to create a world that reflects our values.
And that's a powerful message to take away from this deep dive. It's a reminder that we all have a role to play in shaping the future of technology, art, and society.
Yeah.
We can't just sit back and let things happen. We need to be active participants, critical thinkers, and engaged citizens.
So what can we do? What concrete steps can we take to ensure that technology is used for good, that art continues to challenge and inspire us, and that we create a world where everyone's voice is heard?
I think it starts with awareness. We need to be critical of the technology we consume, the information we absorb, and the narratives that shape our understanding of the world. We need to ask questions, challenge assumptions, and seek out diverse perspectives.
And we need to support those who are using technology and art to push for positive change. We need to amplify their voices, share their stories, and contribute to a world where everyone have the opportunity to thrive.
Beautifully said. It's about collective action, about using our individual voices and actions to create a more just equitable and inspiring world.
This deep dive has been an incredible journey. I feel like I've learned so much, not just about a fictional corporation and an AI-generated album, but about myself, about the world around me, about the choices I want to make going forward.
It's been a pleasure exploring these ideas with you. And remember, this is just the beginning. The deep dive never truly ends. It's an ongoing process of exploration, discovery, and growth.
So to our listeners, we encourage you to continue this journey. Keep diving, keep questioning, keep connecting the dots, and remember, the world is full of wonder. All you have to do is open your mind and explore.